Good day, everyone. Trainer Maximus here. Thank you very much for joining me for this podcast. Today, episode 2, we're going to talk about how to develop new habits in order to improve your movements, how to train the brain first and the muscle second. Just to refresh your memory, in my first episode, we talked about the influence of age on your movements, how with the passage of time, the brain might lose the connection to certain muscles which are responsible for stabilization of your legs or your shoulders while you're performing some walking or pull-ups and etc. And it's not really the age to blame for deterioration of your muscles, because age has nothing to do with this. Essentially, your muscles are staying the same, they're just being excluded from the algorithm of the movement for the legs or the shoulders. So the brain essentially just loses the instructions on how to engage certain muscles. And the more time we spend on Earth, the more instructions we might lose. And that's why our movements might become a little bit deteriorated. We lose the balance, we lose the orientation in space, etc. But the muscles themselves, they're still there, they're still in your body, they're fully functioning. And that's why when you go to the gym and you try to do the isolated exercises for those muscles, you do just well. Your trainer tells you how to curl your leg, how to engage your biceps, you perform just nicely, but for some reason it does not lead to the improvement of your walking, or at least not significant improvement. For some reason your balance while standing on one foot is not becoming better and better. So why is it happening? Well, it's because we're not really targeting the brain during that training. Typically, our attitude, especially here in this hemisphere, is to condition the muscles, to learn how to engage the muscles, how to activate the muscles, how to use the muscles. It's all about the muscle, because the typical goal we pursue here in contemporary fitness is to lose weight. Essentially, by engaging the muscles, we just want to burn some fuel, fat, right? To become slimmer, to become better looking, etc. But it has nothing to do with the improvement of how you move, how you can hold your balance, how you can coordinate your muscles. Essentially, the analogy I can think of is that picture: you have a car and that your car sits in your driveway. Your goal is to burn some fuel in that car. You go in the car, you start the car, you sit in the car while reading your news or TikTok feed while the car is running, and you're burning the fuel. That's great. The goal is achieved. You burn some fuel in the car, but you did not become a better driver. You did not learn how to drive the car differently, how to become better at navigating the car within the city. And that is the difference between training the muscles and training the brain. When you train the muscles, you just go to the gym, you engage the muscles. Any muscle activation requires some energy to be achieved, and the energy thereby is being spent on the muscle activation. So you got your six packs, but you still don't understand how to run your spine. You still didn't improve how to run that or another movement more effectively, how to become a better runner, because simply it was not your goal. Your goal was to spend some energy on muscle activation. Muscle activation was achieved, energy was spent, you became leaner, meaner, and you're happier as a result. But you still don't know how to do handstands and how to stand on one foot successfully. So in order to change that situation, we need to use slightly different approach. We need to get some muscle stabilizer, some other muscles, not stabilizer, but maybe bigger muscle groups, included into the algorithms, motor algorithms for walking or handstands or anything else. And how to do that? It's very simple. It's pretty much the same how you learn new foreign languages. First, you need to understand what you're dealing with. You need to learn the grammar of that language. In our case, you need just to have a look at the joint and understand what is the structure of that joint, how that joint is built, what muscles are attached to what bones, what happens when that muscle pulls, how that bone will move toward the another bone, how the interaction will happen. Once you've got this knowledge, you can easily infer in turn the right movement. You can easily understand why the movement needs to be done in that way or another. So in the first place, you need some solid base of knowledge on how the joint is built, how the muscles are interacting, and what are the main principles of the muscle engagements here. For that, you might just need some help from your trainer, or you can read the books, but it's fairly simple to achieve that knowledge. So after that, you got some idea about how your joints are structured, how the muscles are interacting. Now you need to reconsider how you move. Let's say you go to the gym and often they will tell you for the squats, bring the knees out. So now you need to understand why the knees need to go out, because without understanding, you're not going to retain that information. And understanding is based on that knowledge you acquired. Once you acquire that knowledge, it becomes clearer for you that during the squats, the upper thighs need to be rotated out and brought out for better support for the spine, and the spine needs to be kept in the elongated mode, and etc. But it's not in your habit yet, right? It's not what you would naturally do. Naturally, you would just succumb to the gravity pull and go into the squat. But now you have to watch certain aspects of the movement, certain details of the movement. And for that, like in gymnastics, we have a couple of cues for the students to watch for while they're performing some exercises. Let's say for the squat example, the cues would be spine tall, thighs rotated out, moving out when you're standing up. Okay, so now you have three simple cues: thighs rotated out, thighs brought out, spine tall. You need to shorten those three cues to the point that you can say them in a short sequence without spending much time. Let's say thighs out, brought out, spine tall. You can come up with any cues. And now the main work begins. During the squats, you're not just doing the squats absent-mindedly. You are specifically repeating those three cues in a loop while you're doing the squats. Well, to be honest, this is the most difficult part of the task, because you can imagine yourself, let's say, running, and while you're on the treadmill for 10 minutes or 15 minutes or 20 minutes, your mind is not really focusing on the foot position, on the hip position, on the spine position. Your mind is wandering. You're either reading or watching TV or judging other people around the gym, thinking what you're going to do tomorrow, and etc. So your mind is not focused on the movements you're currently producing. You're just running, and in which way you're running, you actually don't know. You just know the fact that you're running, but you don't have that body awareness to realize that when I run, one of my foot is going slightly more out, the other foot is collapsing in. That leads to the knee, one of the knees being more out, the other knee being more in. That affects the pelvis, that affects the spine. And all those tiny details, you're not picking them up, you're just running with the mind wandering about other things. So we need to change it. Once you understood the structure of the knees, structure of the joints, of the hips, once you learn how to move them, and you develop those three cues, thighs out, legs out, spine tall, while you're performing squats or running, you need to go on repeat in the loop with those cues. Let's say you're doing squats, and while the squats, you're thinking thighs out, bring out, spine tall, thighs out, bring out, spine tall, thighs out, bring out, spine tall. And once you jam your brain with these and only these cues, that's the point where you start developing the habits. If you do 20, 50, 100 reps with those cues in your head, that's how you develop a good habit. That's how you learn essentially everything in this world. The analogy would be the foreign language. If I ask you to repeat "Здравствуйте, меня зовут Максим" exactly in this fashion, which means "Good day, my name is Maxim," and if I ask you to repeat that 50 times in a row, 3 days in a row, next time I say that, you will know for sure what it means without even thinking about this. It's exactly the same story with the movements of the body. In order to incorporate the work of different muscles in that or another movement, first you need to acquire the knowledge of the joints, understand how the muscles are interacting with the bones of that joint, and develop 3-4 cues on how to improve the movements of the joints next time you perform that activity. And after you go and do the drill, which is designed for those new cues to improve the movement. And during that drill, you must, in your head, in your mind, on repeat, like mantra, essentially meditation, say those cues and only those cues. You must not think about anything else about the environment which surrounds you, but those cues in your head. And if you keep doing this for the next 3-5 days, that it is guaranteed that you will develop a new habit, and those new tiny features of your squats or running or walking or handstands will come naturally. They will become automated. And every time after that you stop doing them, you will feel uncomfortable. You will notice there will be some body awareness. But you must busy your mind during those exercises with those cues. Otherwise, you will be just training the muscles. The muscles will be activated, but they will not be included in the algorithm for that or another movement. So there will be no improvement of the movement. You must meditate during the exercises, and that's essentially how we develop new habits. Any new habits can be developed fairly fast within 3-5 days, but you really need to know what kind of cues, what structure of the joints you're working with, the principle of the interactions, and that's it. And after you go and you train your muscles with those cues in mind, and after 3-5 days you move on and you start building on that new pattern, another pattern with another cue and another cue, and you keep adding on your tree of functionality until you get the handstands, until you improve your balance. But it is really about forming a new habit of movement and not just training the muscles. So next time you're at the gym, develop new cues, and if the exercise is too long, if it's running, let's say you have 10 minutes, for the first 2 minutes you can go through 2 cues. Let's say in my case, whenever I do skipping or running and I want to improve my pattern, first 2 minutes I'm focusing on one cue: spine tall, spine tall, spine tall. The second 2 minutes I'm focusing on thighs rotated, thighs rotated. The third 2 minutes I focus on something else, and after I might go and repeat through all those cues. And that's why when you see me running in the gym, I'm completely zoned out. I'm not registering what's happening around me, because I'm in my zone, I'm analyzing, I'm saying my cues, and I'm making sure that what I'm saying, those cues, are actually happening with my body. And after I'm off the treadmill, I actually reinforce my habits, because I've just said those cues probably around 2,000 times in my head. So I definitely developed a new habit for my running. And that's how you improve the running. That's how you improve the boxing, the handstands, and everything else. And not really conditioning the muscles. The muscles will be conditioning, will be conditioned after you develop a new habit. And that's another interesting thing, by the way, about the gymnastic drills. Those gymnastics drills are designed for some certain body types, for some certain algorithms of the brains, which are running the body in a certain way. So those drills are reinforcing those ways. Those drills are reinforcing the right ways of thinking. Those drills are not necessarily leading to the changing of the pattern. And that is why, guys, when you're trying the gymnastics drills, they don't really make you an advanced gymnast right away, and maybe never. Because first, in gymnastics, you educate an athlete on how everything works. The athlete sits a class, learns all the information. After you explain to an athlete all the cues, after you tell him that those cues need to be set on repeat, after you give him a drill which is specifically designed to reinforce that new understanding, and he goes or she goes and does that drill with those cues in mind, and that's how we get the improvements. But if I give you the same gymnastic drill, let's say to improve the posture, and you might not perceive the drill correctly, you might not perceive the movement correctly, you didn't actually learn about the cues in your head which must be present in your mind to include some certain muscles into the new algorithm. You just did that exercise in any way you could, and that way is not necessarily compatible with good mechanics of the movement. Yes, you conditioned the muscle or the muscles or the core, but you did not develop a new habit of the movement. You did not develop a new pattern of the spinal activation, which you could use for the handstands or one-arm handstands or iron crosses. So that is why it is important to understand that the drills are designed to condition your new understanding of the movements and not the muscles. So you go and you do the drill with the cues, certain cues in mind for 500 times. That cues develop new, better motor algorithm inside your brain. Based on that motor algorithm, which is already improved, the brain starts using more muscles or same muscles in different sequence, and only after that those muscles become conditioned based on the new algorithm. That's why we don't call those drills exercises, because they're drills, they're conditioning drills. We condition the brain, not the muscles first. And after the brain got the new written instructions laid down inside the brain, inside the cerebellum, the brain thereby starts conditioning the muscles in order for them to catch up with the new commands. It doesn't work the other way around. If you want to change how you move, you need to change how you think. Because without thinking, there will be no movement. Any movement is preceded by a thought to move. Once you thought about movement, the algorithm for that movement is being exerted from the brain and set for the execution. And what's inside that algorithm, what kind of commands inside that algorithm, will determine what muscles in which sequence with what strength for what time will be engaged. And if that algorithm does not contain right muscles or right sequences, you will never achieve the right movement. You will never gain strength, needed strength, or coordination or balance. So the drills must reinforce new thinking of the movement, and after that your muscles will be reinforced. It's rarely working the other way around. And one condition when it might work, when I give a couple of drills to that kid without explaining anything to become better, yes, now it's a sort of gamble. It might be down to luck. Luckily, somehow the brain might cue in the right way to execute that movement based on that exercise. He figured it out without knowing what actually he figured it out, and those moments we call aha moment, and he became better. But it's not guaranteed that the next kid will be equally successful. And in gymnastics, we have a high turnout of kids. We kind of have hundreds of them, and whomever survived the first 3-5 years, they stayed in gymnastics, but there are so many drop-offs. That's why with us adults, we cannot lose that time. We need to learn about the joints, learn about the structure, learn about the interactions, concepts, learn about the cues, load those cues in our head, condition our mind to use those cues during the movement, build a new pattern or improved pattern of that movement, keep going with that pattern so that the muscles which now are engaged and activated in a different pattern become conditioned to work under new pattern, improved pattern of the movement. So the message of today's podcast is, don't do the exercises mindlessly. You must think in order to improve. I know thinking is very difficult for many of us, including myself. It's very difficult to stay focused, but you must stay focused. And if you possess a good discipline, you will be successful within 3-5 days. So don't just go to the gym, don't just do the exercises while scrolling your phone or browsing the internet, you will not achieve big progress if you want truly to improve the way you move. You must think during the exercises. You think, you improve. That sounds very simple, right? But now go to the gym and try to do that and let me know how it went. Next, in my next episode, I will tell you the difference between good mechanics and good technique. There is actually a difference, but those terms often used interchangeably. So you will learn what is good biomechanics versus good technique. But now we're done here. Thank you very much for your attention. Let me know what you think. Drop your comment. Go to the gym and try to think during the exercises. Have a great day, everyone. See you in my next podcast. Thank you very much for attention. Bye-bye.